I frantically stuff Olivia's favorite purple dinosaur into her overnight bag, wedging my phone between my ear and shoulder as I zip the compartment closed. Mom, I can't thank you enough for this. The presentation is huge. It could mean everything for my career. I double-checked the list on my phone. Pajamas, toothbrush, comfort blanket, extra clothes, favorite stuffed animal. The litany of toddler necessities for just one night away feels endless. Daniel appears in the doorway of Olivia's room, tapping his watch. Jess, we need to go. Traffic's already building up. I nod, mouthing 1 minute as my mother's voice crackles through the phone. Of course, Jessica. Family comes first, I've always said that. There's a note of something in her voice I can't quite place, but I brush it aside. After 6 years of financial support, surely one night of babysitting isn't too much to ask. We'll be there in 20 minutes, I promise. Ending the call and shoving my phone into my pocket. Daniel hefts the diaper bag over his shoulder. Everything okay? Perfect, I assure him, scooping up our sleeping toddler from her playmat. Her warm weight against my chest steadies my racing heart. Mom will help. She always does when it really matters. The drive to my parents' suburban home fills me with a familiar mixture of hope and unease. Golden afternoon light filters through oak trees lining their street as Daniel pulls into the driveway. In the rearview mirror, Olivia's peaceful face reminds me why tonight matters so much. The promotion would mean better preschool options, a college fund that actually grows, stability. Ready? Daniel squeezes my hand, his eyes reflecting the same determination I feel. I nod, slipping out of the car to unbuckle Olivia while Daniel grabs her overnight bag. My mother opens the front door before we reach it. Her smile freezes when her gaze lands on Olivia's pink duffel bag. What's this? My mother's voice drops several degrees. Mom? Confusion knots in my stomach. Olivia's things for tonight, remember? My presentation? My mother's arms cross tightly over her chest. Jessica, we are not your babysitters. We already raised our kids. The words hit me like a physical blow. I stand rooted to the spot, Olivia drowsily lifting her head from my shoulder. Daniel freezes beside me, overnight bag dangling from his hand. But we talked about this. You said... I said we'd talk about it, my mother cuts in sharply. Not that we'd do it. A burst of children's laughter erupts from inside the house. I step forward, pushing past my mother's attempt to block the doorway. Who's that? Jessica, this isn't a good time. But I'm already inside, following the sound to the living room, where the scene before me causes my breath to catch. My father kneels on the carpet, building a tower of blocks with my sister Haley's 2 children. Haley herself lounges on the couch, scrolling through her phone, barely acknowledging our arrival. What's going on? My voice sounds distant to my own ears. My father looks up, a flicker of guilt crossing his face before he smooths it away. Jessica, didn't know you were stopping by. Haley doesn't even look up. Mom and Dad are watching the boys tonight. I have a killer headache and needed some rest. 6 years of financial support flashed through my mind like a highlight reel. 6 years of $1,600 monthly payments. 6 years of just until we get back on our feet. Years of declined invitations to Olivia's birthday because they were too busy. My first big paycheck at 22 Me Mother's casual request for grocery money. My promotion dinner where they ordered champagne and lobster. The monthly car insurance I've covered for years, while Haley contributed nothing. All of it crystallizes in this single shattering moment. Daniel steps beside me, his presence solid and grounding. His hand finds the small of my back, a gesture we've developed over years of family disappointments. A silent, I'm here. I see this too. Olivia reaches toward her grandmother, innocent to the rejection. Gamma! I adjust my grip on my daughter, tucking her closer to my chest. When I speak, my voice emerges with a steadiness that surprises me. I understand now. The clarity feels almost euphoric, cutting through years of fog. I've always been your bank, not your daughter. My mother's face flushes. Don't be dramatic, Jessica. This isn't about money. No, it's about value. And clearly, I only have value when I'm paying your bills. I turn to Daniel, who's already gathering Olivia's bag. No words needed. The ride home passes in weighted silence. I stare out the window at suburban houses sliding past, each one containing families with their own hidden dynamics, their own unspoken agreements. Daniel's hand finds mine across the center console, a bridge in the quiet. As we pull into our driveway, something shifts inside me. The hurt remains, a throbbing wound that will need tending. But beneath it, Something stronger takes root, a clarity of purpose I haven't felt in years. Daniel kills the engine and turns to me. What are you thinking? I meet his gaze, feeling the transformation already beginning. I know exactly what I need to do now. The glow of my laptop screen illuminates my face in the darkened living room. Olivia's monitor hums quietly on the coffee table, her soft breathing a rhythmic counterpoint to my typing. My fingers hover over the keyboard, trembling slightly before I steady them. I navigate to my banking portal, the familiar page where I've made endless payments to keep my parents' lives afloat. 6 years of monthly withdrawals stare back at me each one, a small betrayal I inflicted upon myself. You sure about this? Daniel's voice comes from behind me, soft but solid. I nod, not trusting my voice yet. On the screen, I've pulled up the automatic payment for my parents' rent. $1,200 monthly, scheduled like clockwork. The cursor blinks on the cancel payment button. Completely sure, I whisper and click. A warning appears. Are you sure you want to cancel this recurring payment? I've never been more sure of anything. Click. The utilities follow. $240 for electric and water, $180 for their phone plan, $210 for car insurance. Each cancellation feels like cutting a cord that's been wrapped around my chest for years, allowing me to breathe a little deeper with each severed tie. I open a spreadsheet I've created over the past 3 hours since we returned home. Every payment, every transfer, every loan meticulously documented from 6 years of bank statements. The total glows at the bottom of the screen, $115,843. The number doesn't even shock me anymore. What shocks me is how blind I've been. Daniel sits beside me, his warmth steadying as I craft a single text message to my mother, father, and sister in a group chat. From now on, take care of yourselves. I hit send, then methodically block each of their numbers. First my mother, then my father. I hesitate at Haley's contact, then block her too. The act feels both brutal and necessary, like cauterizing a wound. Come to bed, Daniel murmurs, taking my hand. Tomorrow will be a long day. It starts at 6:37 a.m. My phone erupts with notifications calls from unknown numbers, voicemails, text messages from email addresses I barely recognize as belonging to my family. They found workarounds to the blocks already. I scan through them while Daniel makes coffee, my stomach tightening with each message. Jessica, there must be some mistake with the rent payment. The landlord called saying it didn't go through. My mother's voice in the first voicemail, confusion masquerading as concern. Call me immediately. My father. No pleasantries. By the third voicemail, my mother's tone has shifted. Jessica Claire, I don't know what kind of game you're playing, but we could be evicted. Is that what you want? The text progressed from confusion to disbelief to rage. You can't just cut us off without warning. My father's email sent at 11:42 one must have tried calling as soon as he discovered the cancellations. A text from an unknown number I recognize as Haley's backup. Stop being petty just because you're not the favorite. Mom and Dad need help. I set the phone down, my hands steadier than I expected. They've noticed. Daniel slides coffee toward me, his eyes concerned. You okay? I think I am, I say, surprising myself with the truth of it. By mid-afternoon, the battlefield shifts to social media. Daniel's expression is grim when he shows me his phone. You need to see this, he says. My mother's Facebook post glows on the screen, a masterpiece of manipulation. Heartbroken today, my own daughter, who has plenty of money, has abandoned us in our time of need. Without warning, without explanation. Money really does change people. Please pray for our family during this difficult time. 67 sympathetic comments already from people who've known me my entire life. Church members, family friends, distant relatives. So sorry you're going through this, Deborah. Some children forget where they came from. I never would have expected this from Jessica. How disappointing. You raised her better than this. Under it all, Haley's calculated comment. She's always been selfish, even with her own family. It's just getting worse now that she has money. My hands tremble as I scroll through the public humiliation. The coffee I drank threatens to come back up. This is why I told you to document everything, Daniel says gently, taking his phone back. They were always going to do this. My own phone buzzes with a text from Marissa, a colleague who's seen the post. Hey, you okay? Saw some family drama online. Here if you need to talk. Then another notification, a message from Dr. Levine, my therapist. Saw your mother's post being shared. Remember what we discussed about boundaries. This reaction validates your decision. Even more surprising, a message from Katie, my childhood friend who moved away years ago. Your mom's post is making rounds. Just so you know, we all saw how they treated you growing up. Stay strong. I take a deep breath and open my laptop again. What are you doing? Daniel asks as I log into my cloud storage. Assembling evidence, I reply, pulling up a folder I've created called Family Financial Records. Into it, I drag PDFs of bank statements, screenshots of text messages, hundreds of them, all one-sided requests, photos from family events I wasn't invited to, but Haley was. The spreadsheet calculating the total support over the years. Screenshots of every denied request for help, including 3 separate times they refused to watch Olivia for emergencies. Are you sure you want to do this? Daniel asks as I begin drafting my response. I meet his eyes, finding a certainty I've never felt before. They don't get to rewrite history, not anymore. My fingers fly across the keyboard, crafting the post that will change everything. I stare at my phone screen, transfixed by the tsunami of notifications. My hands hover over the device, not quite touching Ida's if it might burn me. What started as my single post of truth has ignited something uncontrollable. Jessica. Daniel's voice breaks through my trance. You need to see this. He turns his laptop toward me. The comment section beneath my post has transformed overnight. Where there were once accusations of my selfishness, there now stands an army of supporters. You see this? Daniel points to a thread of comments. Your mom's tennis partner, Diane? She's defending you. And look, half your mom's acquaintances are expressing shock. I scan the names, recognizing faces from childhood birthday parties and holiday gatherings. People who've known my family for years are finally seeing behind the curtain. Even Haley's friends are jumping ship. Daniel scrolls to another section. 3 of them have unfollowed her since yesterday. Thank you for being brave enough to say what many of us can't. I've been paying my brother's mortgage for 5 years. Your story gave me courage. Your mother was at my book club last month bragging about her vacation while complaining you never help enough. The hypocrisy. My mouth goes dry. This wasn't supposed to happen. Daniel squeezes my shoulder. Maybe it needed to. My phone buzzes again, the 14th call from my mother in the past hour. I silence it and watch as a text message appears instead. Jessica, please take down that post immediately. Your father's blood pressure is dangerously high because of this public humiliation. Is this how you want him to remember you if something happens? Call me now. The familiar knot of guilt tightens in my chest before I recognize the manipulation. Dad's blood pressure issues materialize whenever accountability approaches. I delete the message without responding. They called my work. I tell Daniel, my voice surprisingly steady. My boss had to have security escort them out. Daniel's jaw tightens. That crosses a line. According to Megan in accounting, Mom was sobbing about how I've had some kind of breakdown. I laugh, but it comes out brittle. Haley's been calling from different numbers since I blocked her. Their landlord called asking if I was still handling their rent payment. Haley's telling people you're having a mental health crisis, Daniel says, scrolling through his phone. Your cousin Ryan messaged me. Apparently she's saying the stress of motherhood has made you unstable, and that's why you suddenly cut them off. I feel my face flush with anger. She's trying to destroy my reputation so no one believes me. And your mother's sister called me, Daniel continues, his voice tightening. She said if you keep this up, we shouldn't expect to be part of the family anymore. Is that supposed to be a threat? I ask, finding unexpected strength in my voice. Being cut out of a family that only sees me as an ATM? The phone rings, again an unknown number. I decline it reflexively. At least we know who our real support system is now, Daniel says, nodding toward his parents' text offering to watch Olivia this weekend. I never expected your mom to step up like this. She said, and I quote, some grandparents actually want to be grandparents, not ATMs. Something warm blooms in my chest, not quite healing, but perhaps it's beginning. My coworkers have created an unexpected buffer too. Jenna intercepted Haley in the lobby yesterday. Marco rerouted calls from my parents' numbers. Even my boss approved a mental health day without hesitation. Family situations can be harder than any project deadline. Take the time you need. I open our banking app, still unused to seeing the balance. The absence of those automatic transfers has created breathing room I'd forgotten could exist. Should we book that weekend in the mountains? Daniel asks, a cautious smile playing at his lips. The cabin with the little fireplace? We couldn't possibly, I start automatically, then stop myself. Actually, yes, let's do it. I think about the daycare brochure sitting on our counter, the one with the music program, an outdoor classroom, that we dismissed as too expensive. Maybe now. My phone lights up with another text. This one from Aunt Carrie. Your mother is distraught. We're all worried about your mental state. This isn't like you, Jessica. Family doesn't air dirty laundry publicly. They're recruiting the extended family now, I mutter, showing Daniel. Are you surprised? Number just disappointed. I block Aunt Carrie's number too. That night, I fall into bed exhausted but with a strange lightness. For the first time in years, I fall asleep without calculating how to stretch our budget to cover someone else's expenses. I don't dream of bounced checks or desperate phone calls. I really sleep for 7 uninterrupted hours. In the morning, I open our banking app, staring at numbers that no longer dwindle to nothing before each payday. What are you thinking about? Daniel asks, sliding a cup of coffee beside me. 3 weeks ago, that daycare with the music program seemed impossible. I gestured toward the brochure on our counter. Now we could actually afford it. I've just run the numbers. Daniel grins. And the weekend trip to the mountains? The cabin with the little fireplace? We couldn't possibly, I start automatically, then stop myself. Actually, yes, let's do it. This is what normal people do, Daniel says softly. They use their money for their own families. I nod, the realization still strange and wonderful. I've booked my first therapy appointment too. Dr. Chen had an opening next week. I wake to 14 new voicemails and a text from the hospital with Dad's name mentioned. My heart contracts painfully until I notice the timestamp. 3:17 a.m. A quick call to the hospital confirms my suspiciono Richard Taylor was admitted last night. Enough. I place my phone on the kitchen counter and look at Daniel. I need a new number. He nods, already reaching for his keys. I've been researching home security systems too. You don't think they'd... I don't know what they do anymore, he says grimly. That's the problem. 3 days later, I'm sitting with my new therapist, Dr. Chen. The guilt is still there, I admit. Like I've violated some fundamental law of nature by not setting myself on fire to keep them warm. She nods. That guilt was installed intentionally. It's their most effective control mechanism. My mother showed up at my office again yesterday. Security had to physically block her. And how did that make you feel? Mortified. Then angry. I straighten my spine. Then certain. I tell her about Daniel confronting my father in the office parking lot. About the cease and desist letter now drafted by a family law attorney. About the locks I've changed and the security cameras we've installed. You're building boundaries, Dr. Chen observes. Not walls, but a healthy perimeter. Later that evening, as Olivia plays with blocks on our living room floor, I open my laptop one last time. My finger hovers over my social media accounts, the battlefield, where this war began. With 3 clicks, I deactivate everything. The silence feels sacred. Daniel sits beside me, wrapping an arm around my shoulders. You okay? Better than okay. I lean into him, watching our daughter stack red and blue blocks into a tottering tower. I'm free. The tower collapses with Olivia's delighted shriek. Without hesitation, she begins rebuilding, this time with a wider, stronger base. I smile at the metaphor life has literally placed before me. Sometimes everything has to fall apart before you can build something that will actually stand. My new phone sits silent on the coffee table. No demands, no guilt, no manipulation. Just the space to breathe, to rebuild, to fortify, to finally live. I stare at my phone, finger hovering over the delete button. An unknown number, but the message makes the sender crystal clear. You've destroyed your family. I hope you're happy with yourself, you selfish bitch. Another one of my mother's friends. I've gotten 6 of these this week alone. I delete it and set my phone face down on the kitchen counter. Through the window, I can see Daniel pushing Olivia on the swing set we installed last weekend, something we could suddenly afford after I stopped paying my parents' rent. The neighborhood gossip reached a fever pitch last month when my parents held a garage sale. Their pristine Italian leather sectional, the one I'd unknowingly financed at on their driveway with a $900 price tag. Mom's designer handbag collection, Dad's golf clubs, the tangible evidence of where my $1,600 monthly payments had actually gone. They're looking for jobs. Sarah told me yesterday at the supermarket, her voice a practiced whisper. Sarah, me mother's tennis partner for 15 years, couldn't quite meet my eyes. Your dad had an interview at the hardware store. Your mom's applying at the call center. I nodded, keeping my face carefully neutral as I selected apples. That's good to hear. What I didn't say, it's been 2 months. It took them exactly 8 weeks to exhaust their emergency options and face reality. What I didn't say, they're in their early 50s, not 70s. They should have been employed all along. What I didn't say, Haley finally had to start paying for her own children's expenses. I drop a handful of cherry tomatoes into the salad bowl, the knife steady in my hand as I slice cucumbers. My movements feel deliberate, confident. 3 months ago, my hands would have trembled with anxiety over what my family might need next. The doorbell rings. Through the peephole, I see Mrs. Lowell from church, clutching a casserole dish. Her expression pinches with disapproval when I open the door. Jessica. Her voice drips with manufactured concern. I thought your family could use a meal, what, with everything going on? Translation. I'm picking sides and it's not yours. That's thoughtful, but we're doing fine. I don't invite her in. We're actually having my boss over for dinner tomorrow. I received a promotion last week. Her eyebrows lift. I hadn't planned to share that detail, but the satisfaction of seeing her surprise outweighs my usual privacy. A promotion? That's, she struggles, unexpected. Of course it is. Who would promote the terrible daughter who abandoned her poor, struggling parents? What Mrs. Lowell doesn't know, I'm working 10 fewer hours per week now that I'm not managing my parents' financial crises. My productivity has skyrocketed. My ideas flow uninterrupted by frantic calls about overdrawn accounts and missed utility payments. I take the casserole because it's easier than refusing. Please thank your prayer group for their concern. I know they're praying for me, praying I'll see the error of my ways, praying I'll return to being the family ATM. After she leaves, I scrape the casserole into the trash. Petty, perhaps, but cathartic. That night, after tucking Olivia in, I find Daniel in our bedroom holding a framed photo. It's from my college graduation, me in cap and gown, flanked by my beaming parents. Before their demands escalated, before the monthly payments became non-negotiable. You okay? He asks, catching me staring. I found myself crying over these yesterday, I admit, sitting beside him. Not because I miss them exactly, I miss who I thought they were. Daniel sets the photo in the drawer of his nightstand instead of back on the dresser. A small gesture, but it speaks volumes. We're making space for new memories. The following weekend, I open a dedicated college fund for Olivia. The first deposit, $1,600, feels momentous. Every month from now on, the money that once disappeared into my parents' bottomless needs will secure my daughter's future instead. Gamma? Olivia asks occasionally, her small face curious. See Gamma today? Each time, the question cuts deep. Not for me, but for her. She's innocent in all of this, too young to understand the complexities of adult relationships gone toxic. Not today, sweetheart, I tell her, redirecting her attention to blocks or books or the backyard swing. In therapy, I'm learning this isn't selfish, it's protection. My therapist nods approvingly when I describe enforcing boundaries with the church ladies, with old family friends, with the flying monkeys my mother dispatches to guilt me. You're rebuilding your identity, she tells me. The caretaker role was consuming you. Now you're discovering who Jessica is when she's not responsible for everyone else's choices. Who Jessica is. A woman who sleeps through the night without anxiety, dreams about unpaid bills. A mother who's present for bath time instead of on the phone, resolving someone else's crisis. A wife who has energy for date nights. A professional who's being recognized for her talents. The most unexpected consequence. I like this version of myself. Last week, I ran into my high school English teacher at the grocery store. She pulled me into a fierce hug. I heard what happened, she whispered. My sister did the same thing to me for years. Walking away saved my life. I hadn't known there were others. That there was a name for this financial abuse. That the cold clarity I felt that day in my parents' living room wasn't unique to me. I was never the problem. I tell Daniel later that night, the revelation's still fresh. All these years, I thought if I just gave enough, did enough, it would fix everything. He pulls me close. You fixed the one thing you could control, your own participation in their system. Outside, spring unfurls across our small yard. We're planting a garden this weekend, growing things that will nourish us, that will still be here next season. Roots extending into the soil, boundaries clearly marked with neat wooden frames. The envelope sits on my kitchen counter for 3 days. No return address, but I recognize my mother's handwriting instantly, the looping curves of my name, the slight tilt to the right. For 8 months, our only contact has been through lawyers and mutual acquaintances. You don't have to open it, Daniel says, sliding a cup of coffee across the counter to me. His eyes reflect the same caution I feel. It's your choice. I run my finger along the sealed edge. What if it's another manipulation? Then you close it and throw it away. He kisses my forehead. You've gotten pretty good at that. When I finally tear it open after Olivia's bedtime, the letter inside isn't what I expected. 2 handwritten pages, no accusations or demands for money. Instead, words I've never heard from my mother. Genuine remorse without a hidden agenda. I never saw what I was doing to you. I took and took until there was nothing left, and then I was angry when you stopped giving. I'm sorry, Jessica. I call my therapist the next morning. People can change, Dr. Lynn tells me during our emergency session. But real change leaves evidence. Look for consistent actions over time, not just pretty words when they want something. I draft my response carefully. A coffee shop meeting, public location, clear time limit. When she replies agreeing to all my terms without argument, something shifts inside me. It's the first boundary of mine she's ever respected. Cafe Meridian buzzes with mid-morning customers when I arrive 15 minutes early. I choose a corner table with a clear view of the door and order a black coffee I probably won't drink. My mother appears in the doorway exactly on time, and I almost don't recognize her. Gone is the highlighted hair, the designer purse. Her clothes are simple, practical. She's aged years in 8 months. She spots me and freezes, hand clutching the strap of a fabric bag that's replaced her usual leather tote. I don't stand, don't wave. She makes her way through the tables, her movements hesitant. Jessica. She hovers by the empty chair. You can sit, I tell her, my voice steadier than I feel. She does, placing her hands flat on the table, then withdrawing them to her lap. The nervous gesture is so unfamiliar, it catches me off guard. My mother has always claimed space confidently. Before we start, I say, I need to be clear. This is a conversation, not a reconciliation. I have boundaries that aren't negotiable. This ends the moment I feel manipulated. I expect resistance, the flash of indignation I've seen countless times. Instead, she nods. I understand. The server approaches, and my mother orders a plain tea. No special instructions, no complaints about the menu. Another unfamiliar behavior. When we're alone again, I don't soften my approach. You took over $100,000 from me over 6 years. You prioritized Haley's children while rejecting mine. You publicly shamed me when I stopped paying your bills. Tears well in her eyes, but she doesn't deflect. Yes, I did all of that. Her admission hits me with physical force. After years of denial and gaslighting, the simple truth spoken aloud feels radical. Your father still refuses to acknowledge any of it. She continues, voice trembling. He says you owed us for raising you. Haley is starting to see things differently, though. The last few months have been educational for her. I take a sip of my coffee, finding it's gone cold. Did you ever actually love me? Or just what I could provide? The question hangs between us, raw and bleeding. My mother's face crumples. I love you, she whispers. I just didn't know how to love you properly. I confused love with what I could get from you. She wipes at her eyes. That's not an excuse. The server delivers her tea. We sit in silence as she unwraps the tea bag, her hands shaking slightly. Even it's a big if we have any relationship moving forward, I have conditions, I say when she looks up again. She nods, waiting. No financial support from me, ever again. Not a dollar, not a loan, not in an emergency. I count the points on my fingers. Daniel and Olivia are my primary family. They come first, always. You'll need to attend family therapy sessions before regular contact resumes, and I need you to publicly acknowledge how you treated me all these years. My mother stares into her tea. I can see the struggle playing across her face, the words she wants to say but is forcing herself to swallow. I understand, she finally manages. It will be difficult, but I'll do it. Dad won't, I state, already knowing the answer. Number. She shakes her head. He refuses to meet or apologize, says you'll come to your senses eventually. A familiar anger flickers, but it lacks the burning intensity it once had. And Haley? She's trying in her way. She asks about you sometimes, but she's still defensive. The family is fracturing along new lines, those willing to face reality, and those clinging to the old dynamic. I find I don't mind the incomplete resolution. Some relationships may never heal, and that's okay. If we move forward, I say, I set the terms. I decide when and where we meet. I decide if and when you see Olivia. I'd like that, she says, hope flickering across her face. To see Olivia again. When you think it's right. You'll need to prove yourself first, I tell her. Regular updates on your progress. Consistent therapy. No financial discussions, period. She nods, fingers curled around her mug. I'm working at the community college now, administrative assistant. It's not much, but it's something. For the first time in our adult relationship, I see my mother as a person rather than an obligation. The realization doesn't flood me with warmth or forgiveness, but it does bring a certain peace. She's finally seeing me as a person too, not a resource to be depleted. Time's up, I say, checking my watch. Our agreed 30 minutes have passed. As we stand to leave, she makes no move to hug me, respecting yet another boundary. Thank you for meeting me, she says instead. I nod, gathering my purse. We'll see. Walking to my car, I feel lighter. Not healed, not reconciled, but no longer haunted. Whatever happens next, I'm the one holding the power not out of vengeance, but out of self-protection and hard-won wisdom. Some bridges can be rebuilt, others need to stay burned. Knowing the difference is its own kind of freedom. I trace my finger along the freshly painted wall of our new living room, still marveling that this space belongs to us. A homier home with Daniel's name and mine on the deed. The morning light streams through windows that don't face another apartment building, but instead reveal the small maple tree in our yard that will shade Olivia's playset next summer. Did you decide where you want this? Daniel balances a framed photo in his hands, his expression softening as he studies the image of us from last Christmas, the three of us laughing. Olivia's chubby hands clutching her new stuffed giraffe. By the stairs. I take the frame, feeling its solid weight, where we'll see it every morning. Our wall of photos tells the truth of our family now. No forced smiles hiding resentment. No obligatory portraits including people who saw me as nothing but a walking checkbook. Just the people who genuinely love us. My phone buzzes. My mother's name appears on the screen, not blocked anymore, but carefully managed. Same time Saturday, her text reads, I found a book Olivia might like. I type back, 10 a.m. works. Remember Daniel will be there too. The boundaries hold. 1 supervised visit per week. No financial discussions, no criticism. My mother works as an office administrator now, lives in a modest apartment she can actually afford, and follows my rules if she wants to see her granddaughter. I check my other notifications. 3 new comments on my latest blog post. Breaking the chains of financial caretaking. The support group I started has grown to 37 members, all people, discovering they aren't alone in being used as their family's personal bank. Mommy, look! Olivia races in from the kitchen, proudly holding a drawing covered in purple scribbles. At 3, she already understands more than I did at 30. Last week, when she offered her juice box to a friend, and the child grabbed it without saying thank you, I watched her small face turn serious. You say thank you when someone shares, she told him firmly. I kneel beside her, meeting her eyes. It's beautiful. Should we put it on the refrigerator? Yes, she nods enthusiastically. Can I call Gamma to show her? On Saturday, sweetie. Remember our calendar? Today is only Wednesday. Olivia considers this, then nods. I'll save it for Saturday. No tantrums, no confusion. Children adapt to consistency, my therapist explained. It's adults who fight it. My father chose estrangement rather than respect. Some days the absence still aches. Other days I'm grateful for the clarity. Haley calls occasionally, our conversations cautious but less hostile. Last month she admitted, I never realized how much you were caring for all of us. Daniel wraps his arms around my waist from behind, his chin resting on my shoulder, as we watch Olivia skip back to her coloring project in the kitchen. The promotion looks good on you, he murmurs, and I feel myself stand straighter. Senior marketing director now, with a salary that makes our mortgage comfortable, and Olivia's college fund grows steadily. Amazing what I can achieve when I'm not paying for 3 extra adults. Tonight I'll be speaking at the community center. 20 people registered for my workshop, from family bank to financial freedom. The slides are ready on my laptop, starting with my own bank statements from a year ago, and ending with today's savings report. Evidence of transformation that can't be argued with. What are you thinking about? Daniel asks, because he always knows when my mind is working through something. That I'm grateful, I say, leaning back against him. Not for what happened, but for what I discovered through it. And what's that? My gaze travels across our new home, with its paint we chose together, and the future we're building intentionally. I think of my mother in therapy last week, finally saying, I'm proud of who you've become. without asking for anything afterward. That my worth was never in what I could give, I tell him, turning to meet his eyes, but in who I am.